Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with something a little bit different. So I am here with Fun Stamper's Journey, and I wanted to show you their Bloom box. So this is their subscription. Now this one is for November. So we're just going back a couple months. But in this kit, well, what this is a pre-packaged kit that includes almost everything you need to make several cards. Just need inks and adhesives. So these are the contents that are in the kit. You get 4 envelopes, or whatever number of projects you can make, and you're going to get a stamp set. Now this stamp set is called Cup of Tea. Now each of your projects that you can make will be individually packaged, which I think is awesome because you don't have to cut. You don't have to die cut. You don't have to use scissors. You don't have to... They have really taken all of the thought process out. Now, you are going to see dies back there. Those you can purchase as an add-on. Okay, they do not come in the kit, but they are available for separate purchase. So let's just go through a couple projects. I'm going to put some of these together. So again, each project that you can make is packaged together. So these are the items for this card that we're going to make. I am literally going to follow step by steps the instructions that they give. Now, of course, I already know this, so I can give it away. The instructions are perfect. Every step mapped out for you, exactly what you should do. I love the techniques that they show. They actually explain splattering. So if you're that card maker, now this kit is perfect for any level, but if you're that card maker that, you know what, you love to make cards, but you don't want to have a huge investment, this is your kit. All right, so let's get through these cards. Let me stop yammering here. So I've already stamped my sentiment, a hug in a mug, and I've done some splatters. I used an ink from my stash. Now I'm just going to ink some of the images. Now, a lot of these images in this stamp set, which is 17 stamps, are solid. But there are areas on the stamp that are open. So within those areas, they actually give you the technique, pull out your colored pencils and color within those areas to give it more of a color. So, you know, I have to admit, as I was stamping these images and reading that, I'm like, who knew? When you have a solid image and if there's a break in it or anything like that, fill that in with another coloring medium. I just thought it was ingenious. I know. You know, things that we should have thought about. Probably everybody out there, you already know that. Again, the dies, I am using them for this card. No, they are not part of this kit, but you can purchase them separately. So these 2 pieces here, they already came die cut. You don't have to use a die from your stash. Same thing when it comes to the pink circle on the upper right-hand corner. That was already die cut as well, and it's got stitching going around it. So here we're actually going to make our card base out of these 2 scalloped pieces. So I used my scorer, scored a 1/2 inch in, put glue in that area, and I'm adhering these 2 pieces together. I always like to bend the piece in the back because that's the part that will bend up. The piece in the front remains flat. So now we're just going to put our card together. I've die cut or fussy cut my pieces out. There's not a die for every one of the stamps. And now we're going to start layering. So one of the things that came for this card are clear pieces, and I'm going to call them washi tape. Because that's kind of what they are, but they are clear. So you have the black design on them, but everything else is transparent. So whatever cardstock you put these on, you will actually see that color coming through. The next item I'm going to get, I'm going to layer this light pink circle onto the dark pink. So you're going to see there's going to be times where I break here, and that's because I'm actually reading the instructions. It's difficult for me to read the instructions. I do not read instructions. Unless my husband's putting something together, then I make sure I read those directions. Come on, people. You know what I'm talking about on this one. When we have our significant others do something, we must read the directions. Yes. Okay, back to the card. Sorry about that. So we're just continuing to layer. I'm either going to be using my liquid adhesive or I'm going to be using my tape runner. So also know too that there could be pauses. Again, let me apologize. I have been having some technical difficulties with my computer. So this video I wanted to be out actually a couple days ago, just so that I could show this to give you yet another option depending upon the level of your creativity. But remember, we're all creative. It doesn't matter how we do it. We're all creative. Okay, enough of that. Let's get back to this card. So with all of my pieces, I'm now just layering them onto the card. The directions will actually take you step by step in the order in which you should adhere the pieces. So that's what's really nice with the booklet that comes with it. Now, also what's really nice is, okay, there's a phenomenal recipe in here for world's best scones. Got to check into that. They tell you the supplies that are needed. So, you know, Fun Stamper's Journey, I've really been looking into them and I'm very intrigued. They have their own inks. They have it's everything. Honestly, I'll be very honest with you. I've never heard of them prior to the merging of Spellbinders and Fun Stamper's Journey. So I'm very intrigued on many of their products. Oh yes, absolutely. So now that I have all my pieces, I used my foam squares. I added the foam dots or the enamel dots that they provided. So that's our first project. So let's look at our second. Now this card is going to be a standard A2 size card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's going to be a side folding. We have some brads, we have a couple pieces of cardstock that we're going to layer, and we have the yellow piece that's already die cut as well. The inks that I'm using are my Gina K collection that I do have, and I'm just choosing some general colors. I'm stamping my images. Now again, the teapots and the saucers and the spoons, they are solid, and that's okay. In the first card, they showed us a great technique. Once those pieces were stamped, I did use the dies, or I fussy cut them out, and they're up on the left-hand side. I'm going to grab the 2 smaller pieces of cardstock that have been cut, and I'm going to layer them together. So the black, of course, goes on top of the white and gives a really nice border. I also used the mint leaves that come in the set, and I created my background that's underneath my left hand there, using an ink that was similar to that cardstock. I'm going to layer my white and black panel on top of that in the center, and I'm going to place this entire panel onto the front of my standard A2 size card base. So you have these different shades of blues and blue-greens coming across, which is really nice. I already had stamped out my sentiment onto my card, which is the scalloped, which is already die cut for you. And I'm going to place that in the section that they state. And this says, "Have a beautiful day." And of course, T is stood out there. I'm now going to prop up the large black kettle, and I'm going to place that to the right of my sentiment. Now, once that's set, excuse me, I do apologize. I am also coming off of the cold. I've got more problems here. My goodness, I am so sorry. Once that's set, we're actually going to work on that yellow piece. And what that yellow piece is like a little tiny shelf. So I want to make sure that when I place down the tea kettle that I'm kind of in line. I know I'm a little bit higher than my pink scallop, But I kind of did want to make sure that I was somewhat in line on that, because I want the tea kettle to look as if it's sitting on top of the shelf, if that makes sense. I grabbed my foam block and my craft pick, and I'm going to punch 3 holes into the shelf, and also for my cups. This is where the brads come in. So I'm going to push the brads through the cup first, and then through the shelf, and I'm going to spread out the ends so that it's held in place. I'm going to add 3 pieces of foam tape to the back of those saucers. Now, I am not going to remove the release paper. I want them to wiggle. Wiggle and jiggle. Okay? So just by putting that piece of foam tape there, as you put it through the mail, it will be able to hold its shape. But once the recipient receives it, they'll still move, because that release paper will actually help it to slide back and forth, which I thought was ingenious. It's, you know, I get it. I have a YouTube channel, and I want to give you all as many tips and tricks and different ways to do things and inspiration. But you know what? There was a lot of tips and tricks that I learned from this kit, and I thought it was great. The last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my Glossy Accents, and I'm literally just going to go over the letters just to give a little bit of shine. Now, you could use anything else that you want. You could use a sparkle pen, anything that you would want. Feel free. So for the 3rd card, now again, we're still going to follow the projects here. And again, everything is mapped out, pre-die cut, pre-measured, and pre-cut for you, which I think that's fabulous. Because if you need a card in a pinch, here you go. Again, this is going to be a standard A2 size card base, and it is going to be a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 that opens to the side. In this case, it is going to be a landscape card. So this will actually be a top folding card. It's not a short top folding, it's a long. It's on the long edge. So I'm going to grab my cardstocks. I'm going to start layering. To save time, I did stamp and either die cut or fussy cut my pieces out. I also stamped my image. It says, "You're just my cup of tea." And I'm going to set that where they show that onto the photo. And then we have some borders that are going to come down across that circle, and we want to layer them. So I'm going to first set my black scallop in place, and then once that's in place, I'm going to set the pink strip along the top. Now, I wanted to make sure the black scallop was set just over that white circle. Now, don't worry, you're going to see me have to rip something off. No card was harmed in this video, but I put it on crooked. I did not follow my own pattern paper. You know, especially if your pattern paper has, you know, like a dotted line going across, it's kind of a great guide for you to make sure that your strip is on straight. Say that 10 times fast. I'm surprised I got that one out the way I did. So once those are in place, this I thought was this was a great technique. So what they did was they had you stamp the images twice, 2 different colors. So of course one of one and one of the other. You would choose which one you would want to cut, but cut out sections from one of the colors. So you can see in this stamp that there's white areas around the handle, around the spout, and so forth. So you want to cut around those. You're going to be able to use your foam squares, and you're going to put it on the piece that you just cut, but you're going to place it on top of the other one that is still together and stamped. How ingenious to get 2 separate colors from the same stamp without having to mask. That's what I like about it. You don't have to mask. This is a very simple way. Now, again, I am sure somebody else has seen this. I have not. This was new to me. I love learning new things. It's close to trying new things. I'm going to do that with all of the other pieces as well. Now, where they have you do this are the 2 tea kettles. That's where they have it. And I think that looks absolutely fantastic. I just thought it was cool. Now, for the 2 tea kettles, yes, I propped that up using my foam squares. When it came to the 1 cup and saucer, excuse me, I glued that directly. I did not prop up the saucer image. That's glued directly down onto each other. I'm just placing all of my pieces directly down onto my design panel, whether it's with foam squares, whether it's liquid adhesive. So we've got a spoon that we're going to be adding. I did prop up the entire cup, just not in between the 2 layers, because I did want that dimension for that as well. I'm going to glue my spoon down. So those are the paper elements. Now I'm just going to have fun with the sequins that they provided. I loved the sequins they provided. These colors were awesome. I need to see if they're available because the colors are great. It's like a lime green, a fuchsia, a blue purple. The colors were just absolutely gorgeous. So yes, I really used a lot of them. I wanted to have all the glitter in the world. I used one on top of my smaller kettle there just to give it some bling. The best part, or one of the best things here, is they gave you this twine. So they just wanted you to wrap it around your fingers, gather it up. You don't have to tie a bow. Use the little tiny clip that they gave you. And all you're going to do is just clip that onto the side. Now, know that yes, that is sticking out. So this may be a card that you hand deliver to somebody, or you just need a bigger envelope when you mail it. So these are the 3 projects that are in the instruction booklet, and all the materials are provided for you. So this is what the instruction booklet looks like in, or the booklet looks like in details. Now, that one I'm not making, but it did inspire me. So just because you have this booklet and you have those instructions and these packets were put together this way, doesn't mean all projects have to be done from what's given to you. You could still use those materials, and let's make an alternate. Let's make our own card, only using these materials that were in this packet. So I'm going to start out, I just pulled out a lot of the small stamp sets. The tea bag, the little lemon, and the 2 cups. I'm using, the second, excuse me, oh my goodness, that was rude. Oh my goodness, I just sneezed. Okay, I'm using the 2nd generation stamping, except for the lemon. I kind of want that to stand out, but I didn't want the bold colors. I wanted them to be soft. So 2nd generation it is. I'm sorry, I just don't want to do the voiceover again. We're going to keep on going here. I cut my strip down to be 2 inches wide. I'm looking at the circle, and then I have this scallop. Now, the scallop is a little bit longer because of the way that they were looking at it. There's just something a little bit that I want to do differently here. So I'm going to place that along my cardstock edge, just to help make that stand out just a little bit. And I'm glad they gave me that piece, because in their card, they had their card, this is a standard A2 size card base, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and my favorite because it is a top folding. So they had that scallop going from left to right. So I'm glad they gave me a larger piece, because I did want mine to go from top to bottom. So I'm going to have the large teal circle sitting there. And for that white, that's where my sentiment is going to go. I'm going to use the ribbon and I'm going to tie a double bow and take forever to fix it. I'm going to stamp my sentiment and it says, life is like a cup of tea. It's all in how you make it. Absolutely. Best words ever. So now we're just going to layer. I'm going to set my circle down first because I want my border strip, my border panel that I made to come on top of that. So I want that also centered. My next piece is going to go over that. Again, we're not adding dimension to this quite yet. The bow is going to add that dimension. And also my sentiment will add that dimension. Now I'm using a glue dot for each of the bows that are coming off because I wanted to make sure that they are separated so that you could see each of them. If I just left it there, they would have just flattened out together and it wouldn't have looked like a double bow. So I just want to spread those out just a little bit to make it a little fuller. And I want my sentiment to sit right in the center of that. They gave me some gemstones, so I am going to place those around my card onto the right-hand side to help accent that sentiment that I have there. And that is our card, but our design, but using their supplies. So, of course, these are the close-ups of the cards that we made today. If you're looking for something, again, if you are that card maker that, you know what, you just don't want to make that investment. You don't, because, or maybe you're that person, okay, you know what, I'm going to have every piece that everybody's showing. Absolutely, I am that way, guilty. But you want to be able to make cards. I think this is absolutely perfect. If you are that card maker that is the expert, the novice, I don't even like saying expert, the novice that you've done, you know, there's more things that you get yourself into. This is good for you as well because we always need that card in a pinch and we just do not have 20 to 30 minutes to put a card together. This is less than that. So I'll have all of the links down below if you want to look into this, if you want to check this out. This is a subscription. So everything down below, all right? And that'll also be not only to Fun Stamper's Journey, but to also the location where they sit on Spellbinders, information, more information for their subscription. All of that will be down below. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below as well, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for your patience during this time. I am so sorry this did not get out to you sooner. I was giving it a shot, but it just was not in the cards. But hopefully we'll be caught up real soon. I hope everyone's having a great day. I hope you are enjoying the time of getting ready for the holidays with your friends and family. But always remember, especially during this stressful time of the year as well, always be creative.